Good morning, Jackson, Mississippi, and all surrounding areas. You've tuned in to the free-range human show of choice, your daily dose of reality radio. It starts now. This is the Clay Edwards Show. I am, of course, yes, that's right, Clay Edwards. Who would have thunk it? The show named after the guy. He decides to show up. We're live in the Dustin Bailey at Southern Magnolias Realty Studio. You can check out all their listings online at Southern Magnolias with a S, realty.com. And look, man, these guys can help you do anything: buy, sell, stage, lending, mortgages, the whole 9 yards. Let them do it all. They're a one-stop home selling shop and property. I always forget about the property part because a lot of people like to buy land, and then build and all that good stuff. Look, you know how to do this, not me. But check them out, man. You're out home shopping. Weather's nice. It's nice to get out and go check out some homes and property and stuff. Keep Dustin Bailey at Southern Magnolias Realty in mind. All right, if you guys want to chime in this morning, the phone lines will be open after the first segment. That's the that's the Mac Hike of Flowood phone line. That number is 601-879-0002. The Guns and Gear text line, it's always open, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That number is 769-241-1944. All right. So before we jump into what I want to talk about this morning, I got an email last night from a listener. And we're also streaming live on the Save Jackson Facebook page this morning. I got an email from a listener last night who went and did some business at one of our sponsors. And I'm not going to say who. I'm not going to give enough information for y'all to know who. But just trust me when I tell you. When we take these sponsors on, we explain to them what they're sponsoring, for one thing, so they understand, what comes with sponsoring a politically charged show like this. So we make sure they're on the team, and then we make sure that they do their customers right. We've turned down sponsorship. We don't just allow anybody to sponsor this show. So because my listeners are family. Now, I can't do what I do without the listeners and or the sponsors. So when a listener has a bad experience at one of my sponsors, I take that serious. But what I don't accept is when you try to get over on one of my sponsors. And then you tell me you can't listen to me anymore because I'm affiliated with them. Well, to that, Hoss, I say deuces. We don't need people like you in the circle anyway, if you're trying to get over on folks. So to the fella who shot me the email last night about one of our great sponsors here, I did some investigation. Come to find out you were in the wrong. The cameras prove that. And again, enjoy listening to Super Talk or whatever else you decide to do in the mornings. We appreciate your business while you were here. All right, so on to the next thing. I made a video, quick little video about this last night, but apparently the big bowling alley out there in Florence, skating rink, bowling alley, amazing facility, Spinners. It was announced yesterday that they're coming to Jackson. They're going to open up there in the old Academy Sports Building on Countyline Road. And all I can say is, don't do it. Abort mission. Abort mission. Don't do it. I know. I know you're trying to pander. Y'all gotten some stuff still last month, a couple months ago. Some employee said something about don't drop your bad kids off from Jackson or whatever it was. Let me say it for you. Do not open another location in Jackson. Them people don't deserve nothing. Look at what they've done to North Park. Look at what they've done to their own neighborhoods. They're bad. They're terrible. Them kids don't need no dang skating rings or bowling alleys. The demographic you're trying to get, the age group, 14, 15, 16, 17-year-olds, they're the ones doing all the robbing, stealing, and killing in Jackson. You don't want to open up a magnifier for that. It'll be like the M-Bar for kids. You don't want that, I'm telling you. I get it. I get on in any normal planet, any normal town, it'd be like, oh man, that's great. They're going to convert one of them big empty buildings into something for kids to do. In a normal world, that sounds like a phenomenal idea. In Jackson, Mississippi, that's the recipe for disaster. You're going to have one successful location in Rankin County keeping two locations lights on. And typically what happens when you do that is both locations go out of business. Now, look, I ain't telling them what to do. I wish, if it opens, I wish them nothing but the best. But I would reevaluate my business decision before I jumped all in to opening anything on County Line Road, especially the Jackson side. There's a reason all those buildings are empty out there. There's a reason all those buildings are empty out there. And I know the thought process is, well, Clay, if we can get all the bad kids out of the Florence location and kind of shift them over, and I'm just going to say what people are saying privately, because that's what I do. If we can get all the bad kids to stay over on the Jackson location, then the Florence location can prosper. I don't think that's how it works. I don't think that's how it works. I think you're just opening up a whole new market, and the people that want to come to the Florence location are still going to come. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. Again, I'm just shooting from the hip here. And furthermore, you got long-term water plans? It ain't looking too good over there. It ain't looking too good. That's going to turn into the cruising spot. It's going to turn into people just parked in that parking lot. I'm telling you, I hope they got a real security plan. Again, I know I sound like I'm being facetious. I'm being serious. I think it's a bad idea. I would go find a big empty building in Madison. Heck, Flowwood. Build a building. I don't know what to tell you. I would avoid the County Line Road area. There's a reason those buildings are empty. There's a reason that Academy up and left a perfectly good building to get to Rankin County. There's a reason that Sam's left a perfectly good building to go 2 miles up the road. There's a reason that I keep hearing that Target's moving. I can't remember if they actually made that official or not. But let's, for the sake of this conversation, let's say Target is moving, allegedly. There's a reason they're doing that. They don't want to be in that area anymore. And the more of those buildings that leave, the more of these little Jackson kids that take their gun to North Park to rob the popcorn stand. You don't think they'll come up in there? I mean, that's the age group, right? 14, 15, 16-year-olds. That's the age group kid that for the most part around here apparently seems to be raised without any parental guidance. That's going to be culminating their hanging out there at the skating rink and bowling alley. Again, I get it, man. It sounds vicious. It does. To talk about, but Clay, they kids. It's just different, man. Y'all ever seen that movie Warriors? Them badass kids. I beat myself. Can't do it. Somebody said a Florence location is apparently overrun with lawlessness. And it's still going to be. I mean, if that's the case, that's not going to change. All you're going to do is open it up to a bunch of kids that aren't coming to Florence. That is what I'm trying to tell you. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I mean, heck, isn't that other bowling alley already overrun with Jacksonians? The one out there at Fannin? So, anyway, hey, whatever, to each their own. But just let's mark this date here. October, what's today, the 5th? October 5th, 2022, Clay Edwards said this was a bad idea. And let's revisit it 5-6 months after they open and see how it's looking. If I'm wrong, I'll be the first to say, man, you got me, bro. I was dead wrong on this one. Dead wrong. Derek, I see you calling, brother. We're going to push calls to the next segment. Let's see here. How about, did y'all see this thing in Jackson yesterday? Did y'all see this thing where a guy ran over his baby mama and left her under the car? And they had to put it up on jack stands to get her out. It killed her. One of our great listeners was listening to the scanner yesterday. And let me make sure I get this right. One of our great listeners was listening to the scanner yesterday and started sending me some text. She's like, you can't believe what's going on in Jackson, over in South Jackson right now. There is a girl stuck under, one of our great listeners, Kimberly. And she said there's a girl that's apparently been ran over by a car and is still under it. No ambulances on the scene yet. A kid's missing and shots have been fired. This is all over there off Savannah Street. But hey, I trust my sources, especially when it's coming from the scanner. I post it. And apparently we were the first people to post any of this stuff. Unfortunately, the girl has lost her life. I think she was 23 years old. The child has been recovered. The father, I guess, kidnapped the child. He's been arrested and charged, I guess, being charged with murder. But this is what's going on. It's just complete and utter lawlessness in Jackson. And you want to open a skating rink there? Man, you're blessed that you don't have a business in Jackson. Take note of what's going on right now. Don't run to the fire. You're not a first responder. Do not run to the crime. You're not a cop. You run away from it. Do not be a first responder. Adam says, what about the Rankin County trailer trash? I mean, look, man, you got that too. You got that too. But that's just part of it. When you build in the neighborhood, you're going to get the neighborhood. What you're not going to get is the Rankin County folks going to Jackson. So you're solely going to be hoping you get Jackson. And I tell you, if you think any of that Madison crowd is going to come down to County Line Road and intermingle with the Jackson crowd, you're making a terrible miscalculation. The Madison moms ain't dropping their kids off at the skating rink on County Line Road. I promise you that there won't be any. That County Line Road might as well be the Great Wall, the Berlin Wall, if you think that's happening. Definitely not happening. You 100% will be catering to Jackson. Period. So, see, I got people messaging me. Y'all know I'm on the radio. Just send me what you want to say. All right, let's take our first break here. When we come back, I want to talk about Twitter and Elon Musk, and we're winning the war a little bit. And hey, according to Kanye and Candace Owens, white lives matter again. We're back. We're back, baby. We're important again. All right, this is the Clay Edwards Show. We'll be right back here on 103.9 WYAB. Breaking rules when necessary. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. This segment is going to be brought to you by Complete Exteriors, Roofing and Gutters. Complete Exteriors, Roofing and Gutters in Pearl wants to help you determine who to use when you are seeking roof repair or work on your gutters. You need to choose a qualified, certified company that has a local brick and mortar building, a company that has been in business for longer than 2 years and offers a warranty. Complete Exteriors has a 4.9 Google review and has been in business for over 16 years. Complete Exteriors, Roofing and Gutters can provide you with a professional and honest look at your roof and gutters. Complete Exteriors, quality without compromise. When you want someone you can trust, contact CompleteExteriorsMS.com. And don't forget, they got their Roofs for Troops program. And if you're a active or retired military, you get a $250 rebate off a roofing system. So check out CompleteExteriorsMS.com. Let's see here. We got some text on the Guns and Gear text line real quick. Derek texts in, says, a colleague of mine says he's been listening to the show and loves the format, loves the callers, and loves your message, Clay. I'm happy to say that he is a neoconservative. I told him to come. Let's see here. I told him to come to conservatism. I don't guess I've ever read that word out loud before. Conservatism. Even though we are in exile, we are coming out guns blazing. Listen to what we have to say and look at the big picture. What has liberalism done for the black community as opposed to what they have done to the community? Yes, he is a so-called black man. So we are gaining numbers every day. All right. Yeah, man. Hey, welcome to the party. We just kicked a listener off the island in the opening segment. So we definitely room for more on here. Hey, look, man, we're going to speak the truth over here. The truth as I see it anyway. And some people are going to like it. Some people aren't. And I don't expect everybody to agree with everything I say. Never. If you agree with everything I say, you're a crazy person. Don't agree just because you like some of the things somebody says, and this goes for anybody, not just me. We all need people in our lives that they agree with our core values, but everything else can be different, because I need that friend to tell me when I'm wrong or to check me. Say, hey, man, you may want to tweak your opinion on that. You know, I had a listener get into the podcast comments the other day. They comment every day. I appreciate it. I don't even know who they are. Their screen name is 2003 SVT. I guess that means they drive a Cobra. You know what? Now that I say it out loud, I think I know who it is. My buddy Steven. But, you know, he was saying, Clay, don't pander to the gays. You know, I know you're trying to not offend people. When I was on the show the other day talking about the normal gays are fine with me, that it's just the drag queen, LGBTQ, LMNOP mafia people that I have a problem with. I'm not going to waver from that. I have no problem with your everyday, quote unquote, normal gays. That's their sin. They'll have to work with that with God. I have my sin. I'm going to have to work with God. Where I draw the line is twerking on little kids and trying to be a groomer. That's where I draw the line. And I'm not going to say, oh, no, all gay is bad. That's not for me to decide. That's not for me to decide. If you treat me good, I'll treat you good. I don't care what you do, as long as it's not pedophilia, you know, and stuff of that nature. You know, if you want to be gay, by all means, brother, be gay. Like I say, that's something you and God will have to work out. But I got my own things I'm going to have to work out with God. I sin every day. You know, doesn't the Bible say something about your sin no greater than my sin is no greater than your sin? That's how I try to live. But sin I do find greater is when it starts affecting children. And we're definitely not going to stand for that. And frankly, speaking of that, I am really disappointed at some of the comments that I've gotten from people about the drag queens twerking on the kids down at the Capitol, down at the two museums in the capital city. The fact that people are saying, well, Clay, I mean, they're just dressed sexy and just dancing around them. Then, I mean, they're not breaking any laws. Well, yes, they are. Yes, they are. Heck, WLBT shared a story the other day. I shared it to Save Jackson just to prove a point that apparently two consenting adults were, let's say, having quasi-sexual affairs in line to see a movie. They both got arrested for indecent and lewd conduct. But it's okay to a man to dress up as a female stripper and dance all around little kids. That's not indecent and lewd if we're using the same standard. I don't want to see some girl with her hand down a guy's pants in line at the movie theater or vice versa, no more than I want to see the other deal. But at least those are two consenting adults. That kid thinks he's there to get his face painted and ride a pony. Parents ought to be in jail too. They should be the first ones in jail. If you took your kids to a drag queen show, you should be in jail. Period. Let's see here. I got some text on the Guns and Gear text line this morning. It says, Dear Clay, what are you talking about? Opening another Spinner's location in Jackson is an excellent idea. Sincerely, no one, Chris. Derek texts back in and says, but if you're a heterosexual man grooming an underage girl for sex, that's prison time. See, absolutely. Absolutely. And it should be. We're just making the point that if you remove the shield of the LGBTQ army from it, it's absolutely jail. You'd be straight in jail. Capitol Police, Hinds County Sheriff, and everybody else would have been down there arresting folks. But because they have that force field of LGBTQ LMNOP around them, it doesn't seem to matter. It's like, no, we can't say nothing. We don't want to be a phobe or ist of some sort. It ain't worth it. It is worth it. It should always be worth it. All lives matter. Even dumb lefties. Kids. So speaking of that, all lives matter. somebody texts in and says, if you don't want to see it, don't go to the Pride Festival or watch the video. That's not the point. The kids shouldn't be down there seeing it. There's a lot of things I don't want to see. But sometimes you have to see bad things to know that it's going on. Come on, man. Kanye West and Candace Owens, two great Americans, great Americans, were at Paris Fashion Week or something, some fancy schmancy get together like that, and they were wearing White Lives Matter shirts. And apparently Kanye obliterated BLM. I haven't read the thing yet. Kind of past all that. We know BLM is a scam. I know that Candace has a new documentary coming out talking about the greatest lie ever told on the dailywire.com, Daily Wire Plus, whatever they call it. I keep waiting on it to come out. I'm paying $10 a month. I've watched everything else they have. But anyway, I know that's coming out. So this must be the lead up to that. And they're wearing the White Lives Matter shirt. And it just got me to think. I was like, it's okay to be white again? Well, we've been the butt of all the jokes. We're okay to be racismed against. It's perfectly acceptable. The two things I am, white and Christian, are the two things that it's okay to drop in a deep fryer, crucify, be racist against. All those things. The butt of all the jokes. I mean, if we say anything back, y'all try to cancel us. Oh, racist, bigot, homophobe, transphobe, Islamophobe, insurrectionist, terrorist. Yeah, all that. Whatever. Nobody cares anymore. I never quit being cool. I never quit being white. I never quit being a Christian. I never quit being a patriot. And that's why they hate me. I never shut up. I never got into line. I never took a knee in solidarity. I never said, man, that sucks what happened to George Floyd. George Floyd killed himself. Period. And you see a lot of these right-wing pundits, they'll kind of bend the knee to it. But what happened to George Floyd was really sad. No, it wasn't. He killed himself. That cop's in jail right now for no reason, for doing his job. Derek Chauvin was sacrificed to the social justice gods as part of the Get Trump Out of Office campaign. Operation Get Orange Man Gone. It was all part of it. If you think any different, you're an idiot. This is the Clay Edwards Show. We'll be right back. Breaking rules when necessary. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. This segment brought to you by Mack Hike Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram of Flowood. You can shop them online at mackhikecdjrf.com. Everybody wants to know a guy. Now you know a couple of guys. Go see my buddy Corey McDonald. He's the general manager over there. Parker is the general sales manager, and Abe Morris is the finance manager. A great group of down-to-earth guys. They cut through the bull to help you get a car. Go check out their brand new Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, or Rams, or their quality premium pre-owned vehicles. Located right there on Lakeland Drive at Airport Road. Been a Dodge dealership for a long time right there. And it's still a Dodge dealership. Still got a Ram. It's a Ram. Anyway, go check them out. Shop them online. Mack Hike Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram right there in Flowood. See, everybody talks about Jeep season. Oh, it's Jeep season. See, now to me, this is Jeep season. This is Jeep weather. But the humidity's gone. It ain't too cold. It ain't too hot. This is Jeep weather. The pollen's gone. If I was ever going to buy a Jeep, this would be the weather that I would buy a Jeep in. You only got about 2 months a year, January, February, that it's too cold to ride with a Jeep. And some days it's still warm enough to take the top, drive without a top in a Jeep. And anyway, I digress, as I say. But get out there, see Corey McDonald and the team. Tell them you heard it on the Clay Edwards Show at Mack Hike Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Flowood. It's the Flowood location. Go support them. All right, hey, Miss Sylvia sent in a great Bible verse here on the Guns and Gear text line concerning worrying about other people's sin. It says, what we need to remember when we want to judge someone else's sin. And this is Matthew 7, verse 3 through 5. And why worry about a speck in your friend's eye when you have a log in your own? How can you think of saying to your friend, let me help you get rid of that speck in your eye, when you can't see past the log in your own eye? Hypocrite, first get rid of the log in your own eye. Then you will see well enough to deal with the speck in your friend's eye. I like that. Thank you, Miss Sylvia. Always great. Miss Sylvia sends me daily Bible verses, and I do read them all. I don't always get to respond because I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off most of the day. But much love, Miss Sylvia. We appreciate you bringing some levity to the show this morning. Our friend Rankin, I guess it's supposed to be a Republican, but a Rankin, says, love your show, agree with you 99% of the time, but George Floyd should not have been killed. 3-4 officers standing around, and Chauvin had to restrain Floyd, who lived a criminal life with a knee to the back of his neck for almost 10 minutes. Passion and beliefs are fine, better when they comport with the truth. I just disagree. He was, had he not been jacked up on all those drugs, he was in the back of the cop car, which I don't want to turn this into the George Floyd show today. He was in the back of the cop car. He freaked out, got out, and he ended up in that situation. Could it have been played different? I don't know, possibly, but we weren't in that situation. Got all them people around him, freaking him out. He's there basically having a heart attack. But if he died of a drug overdose, had he not been ingested with drugs, he wouldn't be dead. It's just, I refer to it as sometimes man, moment, and machine all line up just right. There used to be a History Channel show about it. Man, moment, machine all line up just right for really great things to happen or really bad. And that's exactly what happened with George Floyd. Just a bunch of things separately wouldn't have made too big of a difference in the outcome of that guy's life. But you put them all together in one instantaneous moment, and he died. Ain't no way around it. But he put himself in that situation. That George Floyd did that. That's how I feel about it. But again, hey, we can agree to disagree. I got a text here. Not sure who it's from, but they said, hey, I just wanted to say yesterday was absolutely amazing. The best show I've ever heard. If you talk to Amber, tell her she touched more lives than she knows. I'm not sure who that's from, but I'm sure Amber's listening this morning. And hey, look, I was so moved by the Transformational Tuesday show that I loaded it up at his own podcast. And we're going to be doing this every Tuesday during the second hour, which would be the 8 to 9 hour. And we're going to refer to it as the Recovery Podcast. And that's how it's going to be uploaded. And we're going to talk to people who have dealt with recovery. And I think it's a great way to use this platform to do more than just screech and scream and raise Cain about what's going on, which don't get me wrong. We're going to be doing that, and we're going to be doing more of that as this show grows. But I do think it's okay to carve an hour out here and there to tell good inspirational stories. And if we can get that to a different demographic of people that as its own standalone podcast, maybe we got a chance to get more people to come back and check out this show. So it's a way to grow the show. It's a way to give back. And it's something that I find extremely interesting. I need to draw inspiration from everywhere. I am a sinner. I am, every day I sin, and, every day it's just one day away from completely falling off the edge of the cliff. So anytime I can draw motivation or hear people's horror stories about drugs and alcohol to help me stay away from falling off the edge, it's good for me. I do it for my sanity. Hey, so speaking of the podcast, real quick, the podcast, it took it 18 months, a year and a half, to get to 100,000 downloads, which that's nothing to bat an eye at. 100,000 downloads is amazing. It's taken it only 2 months to get to 150,000 downloads. This show turns 2 years old on February 2nd. We're tracking to have over 200,000 downloads by the end of the year. So I just want to say thank you all for everybody that's downloaded the podcast, shared it with a friend, whatever. if that's how you're listening now, hit subscribe. Let's get those subscribers up. Hit share. Give us a 5-star review on iTunes or Apple or whatever they call it. And again, thank y'all. All right. Let's see here. Wade texted in. It says, we all have a story. Working on being better every day is my goal. Hey, look, and also these stories, they're not always going to be about just drug and alcohol recovery. I want to hear people's stories about overcoming obstacles thrown at them. You know, maybe it was mental health issues, whatever. I want to hear stories about how you overcame ending up at rock bottom. It could be anything. We all have. One thing I learned about going through Celebrate Recovery was recovery is different for everybody. Addiction is different for everybody. It's not all drugs and alcohol. Sex, money, porn. Heck, working out can be an unhealthy addiction. You know, if it takes away from what you need to be doing with your life. If it gets in the way of being a good father, son, employee, any of that, it's not healthy. It may be good for you physically. That doesn't mean it's healthy. Just my opinion. Let's see. Cleaning up the Guns and Gear text line. Somebody says, you wouldn't want anyone telling you how to parent if you took your child to a gun show and someone filmed it. And people were all in an uproar on the radio saying you should be locked up. That should be crazy. No, we're not going to compare gun shows to drag queens twerking on little kids. Guns are legal. Guns are legal. Sexual exploitation of a child is not. That's not the same thing. Just because it's politically charged, because guns are politically charged and lefties don't like guns, but they sure love killing each other with them. It wasn't any Republicans in Jackson. One of these 97, 98 homicides, whatever we're at now, that ain't Republican on Republican crime. That's Democrats. You know, anyway, Democrats claim to hate guns so much, but boy, they love to kill each other with them. I find that a bit ironic. They just don't want us having guns. Again, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but we're not going to compare gun shows to Pride Twerk Fest. Let's see. How is it sexually exploiting a child, they ask. You're doing sexually explicit stuff in front of the child. That is how. Your butt cheeks hanging out the back of a thong of a man, mind you. Dancing and grinding and having dollar bills thrown at it. Come on, man. The fact, I'm not even going to explain this no more. We're not on the same planet if you think that's okay. Period. There's a reason I waited till my parents went to bed at night to watch Skinamax. Because I knew I wasn't supposed to be doing it. I'm pulling up the WLBT murder tracker. I'm surprised Democrats ain't raised hell about this. WLBT having the homicide tracker just for Jackson, by the way. It's not for Rankin County. I wonder why. It's not from Madison County. I wonder why. It's just Jackson. It's still sitting at 97, so they haven't updated the girl that got ran over by her boyfriend yesterday. So we're going into the first weekend of the fair. We're gonna see if the new security stuff works down there, but I could easily see this thing being at over 100 by the end of the weekend. And you know, if they really went through some of these areas, they could find a few more dead bodies. We could get this thing up to 100 by lunch today if somebody would do some police work around here. Little investigations. Well, you know, they wish I was one of those, don't they? Oh, they wish that I would shut up. Let's see. I'm just strolling through WLBT here to see if anything is if any news is broke overnight that I missed. I went to bed early last night, about 9:30, 10, something like that. I say early. For me, it's early. Oh, you know what? I was going to say this real quick. I got some videos sent to me last night. Shout out to my buddy Rob, lives downtown. Apparently last night was the mayor's night, big night out. The last few mayors, they do this every year. But it used to be they'd ride in the big fancy, the big nice J-Tram buses, and they'd ride all through the city. and they would have potential investors for stuff and this, that, and the other on there trying to sell the city. Well, now they've worked its way down to like 3 of the short buses. Shout bus shouties. And they were riding through with all the police escort. You can see the video on the Save Jackson Facebook page. But could you imagine, being Chockway and having to try to polish the turd that is Jackson to potential investors riding through? We talk about drawing the map out just right, to where you try not to see any naked homeless people down Capitol Street. You try not to get shot anywhere else. Man, if we could just get from Capitol Street to Fondren and close the blinds on this thing, put blindfolds on everybody. Oh man, what a waste of resources. There was 5, 6, 7 cop cars pursuing, escorting them. What a waste. Well, meanwhile, you got a guy running over a girl in South Jackson, kidnapping the baby. Just all sheer chaos unfolding in Jackson. But the mayor's security detail is 5, 6, 7 cars of police escorting a couple shout buses around town so they can have their night out. I bet you they were drinking on them buses too. That would be against the law because there's an open container law in Jackson. You ain't supposed to be drinking and having no open containers. Nobody enforces that anymore either. All right, but let's take our last break of the day. We'll come back, land this plane. This is the Clay Edwards Show on 103.9 WYAB. When necessary. Welcome back to the last segment of the day here on the Clay Edwards Show. Hey, real quick, man, if you guys need any guns, speaking of gun shows and guns, get out to Guns and Gear right there on Highway 51 North in Gluckstadt, located right there at Yandell Road. And, man, let those guys take care of you with all of your ammunition, Cerakoting, and firearms needs. They do gunsmithing as well. Home of No Limit Ammo. Shop them online. GunsandGearMS.com. Proud sponsor of the Guns and Gear text line. All right, man, we got Derek on the Matt Hiker Flowwood phone line. Hey, Derek, you got about a minute, brother.
Hey, bro, I just want to say real quick, on my way to work from Airport Road, I saw something that I need to see in every county, and that's a chain gang out there picking up paper. Some of the female inmate workers here in Rankin are out here picking up paper. Why can't we have that in all the surrounding counties as a way to pay off a fine if we're so worried about recidivism and low bond stuff? That's all I wanted to say.
Appreciate it, brother. Great point. Hey, that same chain gang was in front of my house, my new crib, picking up trash yesterday, and I was peeping them out. I'm like, man, any good looking girls over there? It's hard to tell in the green and white, but if they can look good in that outfit, they'll clean up nice. I'm kidding. Not really. I was looking. Anyway, yeah, man. They Sheriff Bailey keeps them working. He does, and I was talking with the sheriff and with Paul Holly the other night over there, the legal counsel for the sheriff, and we were talking about their work release program. They got a hell of a program over there to get people into the workforce. Cause been looking for a mechanic at the shop. I'm like, man, you got any guys over there that do mechanic work? He's like, 2. I said, let me guess, they're at the sheriff office mechanic garage. He's like, yep. I was like, all right, well, if you get any more, we sure would love to have one. But, man, look, always recommend, guys, give felons a chance, you business owners. Give folks a chance to have a criminal record. End up being people get so tired of hearing no. When somebody finally tells them yes, they become the best employee you can have. Can you strike out and get a bad one every now and then? Yeah, but you can get a bad employee regardless of their criminal record. This has been the Clay Edwards Show. Jim Thorne's up next, followed by Stephen Yatroska filling in for Mike Madison. See you tomorrow.
Thanks for listening. Tune in tomorrow at 7 a.m. as the Clay Edwards Show discusses all that is going on in and around the city of Jackson.
This concludes our broadcast day.
Right here on 103.9 WYAB.